My name is Cheryl Freund. I am the moderator for tonight's mayoral candidate forum. On behalf of the Faribault branch of the American Association of University Women hosting this event, I welcome the candidate, members of the audience, and those who will view this forum at a later date on FCTV and YouTube. Current Mayor Kevin Voracek is retiring after serving 8 years as the leader of the City Council. So the mayor position is open. We have 2 candidates vying for the mayor position, Tom Spooner and Jonathan Wood. Mr. Spooner is here this evening. Mr. Wood is unable to be here. Pauline Schreiber will read his response.
Okay, this is the emailed response. Jonathan Wood wrote, "Thank you for the emailed reminder of the forum. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend. With the end of the busy season for construction in full swing and a few out-of-town projects we are trying to wrap up, I do not have the time. I was hoping to attend and greatly appreciate all your hard work. Please send everyone my apologies and well wishes. Thanks again."
Thank you, Pauline. All right, now ordinarily when we would run a forum like this, we would give the candidates 3 minutes to introduce themselves and explain why they wish to be the mayor of Faribault. But because Tom is the only one here, we're not going to be timing him. So he has as much time as he wants to answer our questions. And he reminded me that I better speak loudly into the microphone. Ordinarily, I would say that to the candidates, but since he told me, I don't need to do that. All right. Those present in the audience are invited to write questions on a slip of paper provided by the volunteers, who will then collect them and give them to me to ask of the candidate. Now, Mr. Spooner has recommended that you ask some really thought-provoking questions. Okay, so we're going to have the opening statement. Please introduce yourself and explain why you are a candidate for the mayor of the city of Faribault. Tom?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. First of all, I'd like to thank the AAUW for putting this on tonight, not only for the mayor candidates, but for school board representatives. This is one of the good forums we have. I've done this several times in the past, running for city council, and I appreciate all that you do here. Once again, my name is Tom Spooner. I'm 58 years old. I've now lived in Faribault since 1996. I moved here 28 years ago, I believe it is. My lovely wife Jane out there, she's a lifelong resident of Faribault. I moved here and we got married. We've lived here ever since. I have 2 great stepsons. One lives in Red Wing, one lives in Medford. I have 4 of the funniest grandkids you'll ever meet on the face of the earth, ages 15 down to 6. They're the pride in our life. The reason I'm running for mayor, I've been involved. I started out at about year 2000. I was asked to be on the library board of all things, and I didn't think it would be a great fit for me, but I enjoyed it. I became the Selco representative and for the Southeastern Minnesota Libraries. I then joined the Planning Commission after that. I spent 16 years on the Planning Commission, and I really understood what it takes to build a city and a community. I enjoy the heck out of it. I ran unsuccessfully 2 times to be on city council, and the 3rd time I cracked it in 2018. I then ran 2 years ago, in 2022. I'm in the middle of my 2nd term, 6 years on city council. I've had over 20 years experience in Faribault government. I understand it, I enjoy it. I'm proud to call Faribault my hometown. I want to be your next mayor. I am going to be your next mayor. I can count on that. So I don't have anything other to say that.
Hey, thank you so much. Here is the first question. What 2 or 3 assets do you possess that would make you a good mayor?
The one thing a good mayor needs to do is they need to learn to listen and understand what the community, what the citizens, what city staff, what other people want, intergovernmental agencies, what are they looking for? All these people look up to Faribault as the leader of Rice County. You need to be a listener and you want to understand what goes on in our community. Take some time to think about it and understand the ideas, the policies they want to enact, they want to change before we move forward and take any action.
Thank you very much. Now, I hope I could interpret this question correctly. It says, comment on local government and how it can help Faribault. Probably you might want to expand on what's the importance of local government.
What's important? Local government? Local government could be anything from water we drink every day to getting our streets plowed, filling the potholes. That's mainly what small town government does. But also government can interact and they can help and promote economic development. Economic development of things like we do is rebuilding and reshaping our downtown to try and grow the tax base, to bring new businesses to town, to look at policies, to look at ordinances that we have. What can we change that can promote the businesses of Faribault? But more importantly, let's face it, 85% of our money and what we do in our budget is just simply general government. So that's what we can do to promote our city.
Okay. Are there any more questions from the audience? This is going to be a very short meeting if we don't. But luckily for us all, I have come up some questions myself. Being a teacher and all, I can do this. Prepare ahead. So here's a question that I have for you. You mentioned in the Daily News that budgeting requires a mixture of reduced spending and growing the tax base. So explain what spending would you reduce and how would you keep expenditures in the minimum?
I think reducing spending is actually something that you have to look at on a year-to-year basis. There are ebbs and flows of what comes along as local government. That you may have we're up against looking at purchasing new fire trucks, those kind of things. Fire trucks are now $800,000 to $1 million. They don't come cheap. We have to look at those, but do we need them? Absolutely we need them. That's what you can do to reduce spending. The other thing we came up on last year, one of our biggest costs that we have is healthcare insurance for all of our employees. We entered into an agreement with a Southern Minnesota co-op. We thought we were going to get a long-term deal where insurance rates would be low. That didn't turn out to be the case. We on the fly with city staff had to go out on the open market and we reduced our healthcare costs for all of our employees greatly. So you need to look at big things, big expenditures on a year-to-year basis.
You also mentioned in the Daily News, and maybe you referred to this in your answer, that you would want to find ways to reduce costs in capital improvements. So when I read that, I wasn't sure what you really meant by capital improvements.
Capital improvements could be anything from new furnaces on top of the library to stuff at the wastewater treatment plant, okay? Pumps, what can we do better? You look at a plan that we have in place right now, motors and pumps and whatnot. Technology is ever changing. And if we have something in our capital improvement plan that is in 2028, 2029, and it's a big ticket item, maybe 3 to 4 years now, technology and computers have caught up with our things that we can look at it, maybe re-engineer it, redesign it, and see if we can have any cost savings along the way.
Does the city council have a 5-year capital improvement plan?
Yes, we do. Yes.
And how would the citizens see it?
I believe it's online. I believe so. It's all of our plans are online. You can look on the website. If not, you can call City Hall and they will get you the information.
Thank you. All right, think of the most challenging conflict you ever faced as a leader. What was the conflict and how did you handle it? But don't mention names.
I think it actually had something to do in my old job. I will not mention names, but there was a policy and plan. They had to write a specific safety procedure to provide this to their insurance company to get lower insurance rates, but yet it involved purchasing more equipment for safety reasons, and they would not do that. They submitted the plan, they did everything they could to satisfy the insurance company on paperwork, but I butted heads a lot with the management at that time. And I just think that was so very poor. That was in the private sector, by the way. So, but yeah, those are challenging issues when you have a company and not willing to do those things.
Okay, thank you. All right, how would you handle this situation? One of the persons on your leadership team berates a female employee in public. How would you handle this situation?
For one, I would pull them aside and I would make sure I have a third person, primarily someone from HR involved, because I'm involved in these things at my day job, that you'd want a third-party witness and you would explain to them that those are not the policies and not how we act in the city of Faribault. And I think we would have to take a long, hard look at how severe it was and what the repercussions of this would be and what standards we meet for our staff here at City Hall.
Thank you. Both Northfield and Owatonna have ads in the Minneapolis-St. Paul magazine, I've noticed, touting their unique downtown businesses, great restaurants, and tourist attractions. Why doesn't Faribault advertise its attractions to visitors to attract more visitors to our downtown?
I believe they do. I believe that's part of the Chamber of Commerce, so I don't want to speak fully on them, but I know in the Minnesota Great Road Trip that they've actually won awards through that program that the Chamber of Commerce. And actually, we've had some wonderful write-ups in the last 18 months of the city of Faribault in the Star Tribune. A very nice article about the reshaping and rebuilding of our downtown. Very good read.
Right. Some people have said that Faribault is just a blue-collar town, existing between Northfield and Owatonna. What is your response to this notion?
What's wrong with that? It's good. We have a lot of good people in this town that work hard. You look at the tax base we have in this community, it stretches all the way down from being a county seat to a great hospital to the agriculture sector that we support and everything involved in this town, the education system, South Central College, Shattuck St. Mary's, our own public schools, law enforcement we have here regarding our prison, our being the county seat. I think we should take pride in the fact that we're a blue-collar town, that we work hard.
Thank you. Is being an employee by Northfield going to be a conflict for the mayor of Faribault?
No. For one, every time I ran for city council, even when I ran for mayor just last month, I had it approved by administration I could run this position. I'm a supervisor at the ice arena. I'm not cracking security codes for the city of Northfield over there, okay? I simply run an ice arena and an outdoor pool. I don't think I'm involved in their economic development or anything of a high level nature. What I do here in the city of Faribault, I'm gonna be very proud to be your next mayor. I want to make this the best city in Rice County.
Next question is, do you support the building of a new community center or rebuilding the current facility?
I think we need to take a long, hard look at that because that is still 4 to 5 years down the road. And I don't think we have all the facts yet. What I will tell you, back to my day job, is I do manage an outdoor pool for the city. We have a problem at our community center that our pool inside that building is failing. That was built in the 70s, and to rebuild that pool and to actually tear it out and the piping, it's reached its lifespan. And so the cost of remodeling a 50-year-old building versus building a new one, I think we're going to take a long, hard look at it. And I would hope that building a new one would be the better option. And I think the funding mechanism, how we pay for it, is the critical issue. It's just simply how we're going to pay for it.
Thank you. The new park and its financing has been a controversial topic for Faribault. How do you see the project moving forward with keeping the public informed?
Well, we have to have communication with the public in general. I think we're, along with the Faribault Foundation, who's doing a great job, and one thing if I become mayor, I'm going to work with the foundation on fundraising, private fundraising. And I think through them, we're going to do a wonderful job of communicating how much funds we're raising. I think it's very important that this park be completed. City Council has put on hold, as of right now, the ice skating feature. I think this will be a park that brings people together downtown. This is going to be a tourist attraction. This is going to be the blue chip of our downtown, where we can have people coming, visiting our downtown, shopping, just simply hanging out. It's going to be a nice park.
What can you tell us about the Faribault's 2040 plan?
I wish I had it more specific, but it's a great plan. It's things that were put in motion. One, people think that City Council just drafted this up. The downtown master plan, the parks plan, and the Vision 2040 is not something that City Council just dreamt up. This was put together, and I believe it started in about 2015. I was actually a member of the Planning Commission at that time, and I was a member on a couple of those boards and commission that put together these 3 plans that came together, that wanted to look at the focus of natural resources, education, institutional things, everything about Faribault that we could put together, and how these groups can work together for the future of Faribault.
Would you be in favor of an additional tax abatement? Why or why not?
For what?
Yeah, an additional tax abatement.
I think that has to be specific on the project. Okay, is it bringing major jobs to town? What is the purpose of the tax abatement? If we're going to give something back, we have to get something in return. So I guess without knowing the full question there, I don't know. It really depends upon the project.
To be determined.
To be determined is correct.
Okay. What suggestions do you have to get more citizens involved in city government?
Boy, that's a good question. I wish I had the answer to that, because I tell you what, that's just not. That's a problem not only for city government, that's a problem for the local church groups, the Boy Scouts, everybody. Every organization that needs volunteers, needs people to be active, right now we don't have them. And the sad thing about it is, it's kind of a thing of way of life in 2024. I look at my stepkids and my grandkids. It's awesome all the things they get to do, but man, they don't get to rest very often. They got volleyball, softball, hockey, baseball. Everybody's going every which direction. And I think as a society, we don't we don't sit back and take the time to look at the things that we need the most. And I wish I had a better answer for you on that one, but that's going to be, we're always asking people. We need to just simply go out and ask people to be involved.
Faribault has a unique and diverse population. What strategies would you implement to capitalize on the unique strengths of these diverse groups and what they bring to the community?
Always getting out and talking to them. It's disappointing this year. I believe the Faribault Diversity Coalition has kind of disbanded, and they're not very active anymore. That's disappointing to us. I think we'd like to sit down with leaders of all the communities that we have, and what can we do to come together as a whole? If you look at it in this town, people look at, like, one thing that always bring me back growing up in a small town was high school sports. I'm not a soccer fan, but you look at our high school soccer team right now, we had 80 kids in this community go out for soccer. And the vast majority of them are from minority communities. We should go to a soccer game like we go to a football game or hockey game. Get to know what's important to them. That will be our future right there, those kids in the school. We should learn to talk to them.
Thank you. What strengths do you possess that your opponent may not have? That's a tricky question, isn't it?
I think my proven leadership. I think the years that I've been around here, I think I know all the city staff very well. I understand the ins and outs of everything from a variance to the budget. Very proud of my resume of what I have here. And I think that's my strength.
Well, if you could wave a magic wand and money would be no object, what additions or changes would you like to see for Faribault?
Oh, that would be easy. I would love to see the downtown be rebuilt, and where we could get all the businesses downtown to get repainted and tuck pointed in one summer, so we constantly don't have a crane blocking off one side of the street. That would be my first thing. And then I'd like to see the Viaduct Park get done. Then I think I would like to see 10 small businesses with anywhere from 15 to 20 employees. I think we look at our industrial park, we see the big hitters out there, and we see all the manufacturing thing we have. But I think what the backbone of Faribault is when you drive through the industrial park is you look at the Kubota dealership, Absolute Air, Amcon Concrete, all the small businesses that we have, that all have 10 to 15, 20 employees. Those are the backbone of our industrial district.
What would you predict will be the greatest challenge the city of Faribault and the city council will face in the next 5 years?
Oh, I think it's definitely budget things. I think that, fortunately, this comes from probably the lawmakers at St. Paul. I think it's shown that local government aid has not kept up with inflation in the last several years. Many cities like Faribault look at local government aid, and we're going to have to take a look at some cuts and things like that how we provide and what we do for our services. But we hope that local government aid can keep up. What we hear from St. Paul, if you read the paper, pay attention to the news, is that they're going to have budget shortfalls up at St. Paul. And that's going to be a problem. That's going to have a trickle-down effect for all of us.
What do you believe is Faribault's greatest asset? What are you the most proud of?
The people, everybody. The people that I talk to every day, the people that I see down at farmers market, walking down the street. You get to know them, you talk to them. I've been involved, like I say, 20 years. All the commissions and the boards I've been on. There are a group of people right here tonight that come out. These are the people that care about our town. They're good to know. I love talking to people and walking downtown. It's just the number one thing we have in our town.
Well, I'm pretty much out of my questions. I do have one question, and I probably should not even ask it, but I will anyway. Maybe it has nothing to do with you as the mayor. What efforts has the Faribault City Council made to ascertain the impact of spreading city sludge on farm fields, on the quality of rural groundwater? What data have been collected in order to ascertain whether or not this practice is safe and does not negatively impact rural wells? Do you have anything to do with that?
A little bit, just because I know we had an issue a couple years ago about this. Spraying the sludge on the farm fields is no other impact versus fertilizers that they put on, chemical fertilizers. It's going to seep into the ground. That's all dependent upon soil types, vegetation. And I'm no farmer, believe me. I'm true blue as city kid. But that's all dependent upon the types of soil, and it seriously is no different than chemical fertilization.
How do you know that?
How do I know that?
Yes, how do you know?
That's just what I've been told.
By whom?
By one farmer and one agronomist who was a sales rep for a seed company.
Nobody from the EPA or?
Oh, no, there's no fact
Okay.
behind that.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, this is the last question I have. Does anyone else have questions in the audience? No big controversial issues? We're all happy here in Faribault? Hey, I did hear one thing though. My sister is here from Mexico. She lives down in Lake Chapala. And we're from Northfield, actually. I grew up in Northfield. So my sister went back to Northfield to look at Northfield and how it is. I'll probably get into trouble for saying this. But my sister said, Faribault is so beautiful. It looks so much happier and more exciting things are going on in Faribault than it appears to be going on in Northfield. So she said to me, you should be very proud to be living in Faribault. It's a really beautiful looking city with great historic buildings and lovely people and great restaurants. Oh my goodness. So anyway, that's what my sister thinks. All right, the mayor serves as the leader of the city council. For the last question that I have for you, explain your leadership philosophy.
My leadership philosophy is to hear everybody's side of the story, take the time to think about it, and more importantly, one thing you got to do in city government is, one, you have to get the facts straight from, we rely on city staff, number one. We have to make sure that we understand what is going on with policies, procedures, spending, whatever. We rely heavily on them because we deal with a lot of issues that, let's face it, we're not experts in. We got to learn sometimes on the fly. And it's important for us to be open and honest with each other as we're sitting in city council, work session, and take input from everybody.
Are there any more questions from the audience? Yes. One more is being written up as we see this right now. I have to say that Mr. Spooner is doing a great job. It's not easy to be up here and answering questions that you don't know what's going to be asked of you. And
Can I
you
just
really have done a
honestly,
good job.
do I get closing statements?
You are going to get a closing
Okay.
statement, yes. It's kind of like a grilling, isn't it? Are there gaps in the city staffing, and how would you work to enhance staffing?
Did you repeat that?
Yes. Are there gaps in the city staffing, and how would you work to enhance staffing?
Well, I think in enhanced staffing, the one thing we have to do, and I think we're looking at in next year council, we're going to do a compensation study and make sure that we are on par paying everybody what they should be paid, and hopefully that we can Retention, working in small government, I'll tell you what, retention is the number one thing that we face. Getting good quality employees to stick around. It used to be years ago that when I got involved and took my job, everybody said government was the place to work. You got all the benefits, you got all the holidays off. That's changed. There are a lot of perks that the private sector gets nowadays that sometimes city government and city staff just doesn't have anymore.
Thank you. Well, who's responsible for the dead and dying trees in the boulevards, particularly because of emerald ash borer?
That's a yes and no. If it's in the city's responsibility, if it's in the right of way, we'll have to take care of that. We have a plan that we've been purchasing trees, and for the next few years, we're going to be replacing so many trees per year.
Apparently, housing is a big issue, right across the United States. What could the city do to help people have more of an opportunity to purchase their own homes and really invest in the community by owning their own homes?
I think we need to just take a look at the regulations and land development, what we have, how we can create maybe smaller lots, smaller setbacks, kind of planned unit developments for smaller homes where home ownership, unfortunately, the market forces behind owning a home these days are, I bought my first home for $45,000 in Faribault, and that doesn't happen anymore. And that's something we can't control. And the average starter home is now well into the 200,000s, and younger people are choosing, they actually enjoy it. I have some employees that they like living in apartments. It's something that my generation, I wanted to buy a home where I could have a yard and have a cookout. They like to live in these apartments where they don't have to plow the snow and mow the lawn. So that's a generational thing. But getting programs where we can get first home buyers and incentives to purchase their own home is very important for us.
All right, thank you. Any more questions from the audience? What will the city council do to control the use of marijuana?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of those decisions are now made by the Minnesota state government. We're going to control what we can. We have to follow the regulations put forward. Marijuana is now legal in the state of Minnesota. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think a lot of us in this room are probably a fan of it. But it is what it is. So we're going to set forward ordinances where we can have the sale, the cultivation, and the use of it. We've had a moratorium for years on it. Since it was passed, I shouldn't say years, it's been about 18 months now. But the state government did they passed it, they didn't make no plans. So, kind of fell in the laps of small towns where we all put moratoriums on it. And we're going to do our best, and we're going to give our police force everything we can to control it.
At this point, have you seen any issues regarding marijuana use?
I haven't. I mean, no more than normal.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay, if we're going to end at 7:15, you have 10 minutes for closing remarks. Sum up what you want the audience to remember about why you are running for the office of mayor of the city of Faribault.
You can roll back about 8.5 minutes on that one, but we're fine with that. Usually got somebody out there with a yellow card going 30 seconds, but we're good tonight. There's just been a lot of good things in the last year that city council has done that I'm very proud of. One of the things here from my notes is we're looking at the Highway 60 West Master Plan. We'll put together a plan where we're going to have some commercial industrial development on the south, some retail toward the north, toward the river and the lakes. We're hopefully going to add some housing. We talk about housing. This is an area where hopefully we can get some good quality developers to come in to add some housing to our housing stock. Our downtown master plan was passed 2019, I believe, when I first got on council. We're really starting to see some of the things come together. Hopefully we can get a major hub and a retailer downtown that will really solidify downtown, and we can make it a even better downtown than we have. Other than that, that's all I have for my notes. I just want to say it's been a fun summer. I'm not a big door knocking guy. I don't go out and knock on everybody's door in town. I don't want to tell them why I got to be mayor. But the one thing I've been to is I've been to every community event, I think, this summer. I've been to Boy Scout pancake breakfast. I've been to the cancer walks. I've just been every event I can, I think I've been at. I've had something going on ever since, I believe, June 11th. Every weekend I've been out there meeting people. I talked earlier about getting out and talking to the people. This has been a fun summer. It's been a long summer. I got a bad leg because of it, but we're moving on. It's just as great to meet the city people of the city of Faribault, and it's glad to see people here tonight. Thank you.
Well, this concludes the 2024 City of Faribault Mayoral Candidate Forum. The members of AAUW wish to thank Tom Spooner and the audience this evening for their interest and participation in this forum. The candidate forum has been recorded and will be broadcast on FCTV later this month, and you can access it on YouTube. This is democracy in action. The citizens of Faribault are fortunate to have two candidates who are willing to place their names on the ballot to become the leader of the City Council and the face of Faribault. You should be commended for your service, and regardless of the results of the election, you should know that you have already made a contribution to this community by your candidacy. Thank you for being here tonight and answering the community's questions. Remember to vote on Tuesday, November 5, 2024. Absentee ballots and early voting are available at the Rice County Auditor's Office at the Rice County Government Center. On behalf of the members of the Faribault branch of the Association of American University Women, I wish to thank the candidates and everyone in the audience for taking part in this forum and later viewing it at home. Thank you very much and good evening.